So now, if you are working with a team,
Mhm.
then the obvious next question is that how do you start to define the roles from a legal perspective? How do you start defining the roles? And if you're issuing equity to each one,
Mhm.
what's sort of the best practice? How should we think about this?
Well, there are, you know, so roles and responsibilities is obviously the, that's a decision that the founder has to make, right?
Hmm.
So, let's say that I come up with I come up with an idea in the legal space, right? And so I have the legal background, and I can, I, I know what the legal field needs, but I don't have any technical background. So I
Right.
may need a software person to join me to build the MVP or build a prototype so that we can go out and start experimenting, right? So then, when if I come up with if it's my idea, then I have to look for someone who can help me from the technology perspective, right? Then the roles are pretty well defined. Hey, so I'm going to be the person that brings the industry input, or the domain input, and there's another person who's going to build the technology, right? So the roles and responsibilities kind of depend on what skill sets each person has, right?
Hmm.
What is it that your expectation? What does the founder expect from a co-founder? And not expectations in terms of skill sets, and also expectations in terms of time. How much time is the co-founder going to be able to give me, right? My I start talking to a software, in my idea, I start talking to a software developer, and that developer has a full-time job,
Yep.
and if I like the person, and then I have to, in my mind, I have to, I should, if he's working full time, he has a 40-hour job, and if he's only going to give me time in the evening, or give me times on the weekend, then I am going into that relationship knowing fully well that those are his limitations, right?
Hmm.
So, and then I have to set my expectations according to what the person is bringing to the table. But those are the discussions that you need to have as co-founders, right? What's your availability? Um, how much time are you going to be able to give, and what are your skill sets, right? Do you think you can do it all by yourself, or you think you need to bring more people in? and
Right.
and no point rushing into those decisions. You don't need to rush into a decision and say, oh, yep, I found a co-founder. I know what his role is, my role is. You can all, obviously, you can spend time and see, talk to him. Maybe try and figure out, what is he going to bring to the table, what resources is he going to need, right? I mean,
Right.
there's a someone may come join the team and say, okay, fine, I'll help you with the development. That's what I do, but I need people, who can code, right?
Right.
So then I have to keep in mind that, hey, he's not going to be able to do the job all by himself. He also needs other people, and those are things that you figure out by talking to each other, and once you have a good understanding of what is your co-founder bringing to the table, is when you start talking about, how should I compensate him,
Right.
right?
And yeah, that's where the equity discussion comes in. And it's always better to have those discussions sooner rather than later, because as you sort of progress in the project, those conversations will become difficult,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. I mean, once you have decided on the person, and once you have defined the roles and responsibilities, and once you have defined your expectations, and once he has committed to certain to in terms of time or availability, once he's made those commitments, then yes, you should be talking in terms of, how do you compensate him.
Yep.
And you could always say, hey, I'm going to pay him salary, but where's the capital going to come from, right?
Right.
To pay him. So equity is fairly typical and fairly standard way of compensating your co-founder. And splitting the equity, like I said, it depends on a few things. You could sometimes you end up finding a co-founder who could say, yeah, you know what, I'm not expecting any money. I have a job, or I've saved up, or I had a successful exit already under my belt. So I'm going to be able to commit some capital as well. So you
Mm-hmm.
can have, this shows more skin in the game,
Yep.
right? If you have a co-founder who likes your idea and is willing to commit his time and is also willing to bring capital to the table, that means he's willing to put more skin in the game,
Right.
and that should also be part of the discussion, right?
Yep.
But these are things that like I said, what is he going to bring to the table, and what is his role and responsibilities will determine how much equity you give.
How you compensate.